What's up, guys? I'm your host, Mike C. Squared, and this is One Giant Leap for Geeks. Hey guys, it's me, Mike C. Squared. In an attempt to do our review for the Black Panther movie, we were unfortunately unable to be together in person to do this, so we attempted to record this episode over Skype. Unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties when recording, and the audio did not come out the way I had intended. Unfortunately, I've done everything I could to clean it up the best I could and make this tolerable. So, sorry if the audio quality is not the greatest. I did my best to try and fix it, but yeah, other than that, enjoy the episode for what it is, and we will keep working on getting these kinks out for next time. On with the show. This week we are talking all things Black Panther. We have our spoiler-free and spoiler-filled review. We're also going to look at the box office success the movie's had so far, and the trolls who are campaigning against it. Over in Lightspeed, Jessica Jones has a new trailer, and apparently Zack Snyder was fired from Justice League. Alright, passengers.
Let's get dangerous.
And prepare for landing.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks.
What happens now determines what happens to the rest of the world.
Okay, guys, so on this episode, we are going to be doing the Black Panther movie review. Yay. We are mainly going to stay spoiler-free in this first half, so, if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't worry, we're not going to spoil anything up front. We're going to just focus strictly on, the peripheral points. We won't get too deep into anything, and we will announce when we get to the spoiler section, so then you can go watch the movie, come back, listen to the rest of this, or if you've already seen it, just sit back and enjoy. So, Melissa, what did you think of the movie?
I really liked it. I hadn't heard much about Black Panther other than, the trailers and what we learned about the movie. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was well done, well executed. The points were, made clearly. Yeah, it was definitely well worth going to see on opening night.
Yeah, because we went and seen it on Thursday night. Because traditionally they usually do these things on Fridays, but they've lately been starting to do these like early Thursday screenings and stuff like that. So yeah, we saw it Thursday night. And how was the theater going experience for you?
What do you mean? Like, just going to the theater for that movie, or?
Yeah, I mean, just as far as, what, like the crowds that were there, just, like the whole thing, like what?
There were so many people there. I got there a little early because I knew that you and I were meeting up there to see this, and the amount of people packed into one little movie theater was astronomically crazy. There were lines going out the door, and they were almost all there to go see Black Panther. We had bought tickets, early in the day, and then
yeah, like 8 a.m. that Thursday morning, yeah.
We tried to buy an extra ticket around 7:30. And we got lucky that we got that extra ticket. They were filling up very, very quickly.
Yeah, I was really surprised at the amount of people that were there for a Thursday night. I mean, granted, yes, it is President's Day weekend, and where we are in the country, it's, the weather is just starting to break. We're finally getting kind of over the hump of winter, and more people are starting to get out around this time. So, but still, I was not expecting the amount of people that were there. As far as myself, I really really like the movie. I can say I pretty much damn near loved just about everything about it. Um, I will say there are some flaws in the movie. I am not going to gloss over that and pretend that it's a perfect movie by no means, because it's not. There's some issues with some of the CG. Some of the plot points are a little iffy at times. The acting with some of the characters, could have been a bit better, but overall, it was a really good experience, and it was kind of like a breath of fresh air into the MCU. It was some much needed diversity, not only in the obvious casting and the actors and whatnot, but just the storytelling and the types of stories that we're telling. Because this, to me, and I said this to you in the theater, it didn't feel like a superhero movie. It felt a much
Right.
more like a it almost felt like a mix of like a James Bond movie and like Game of Thrones and like a political thriller and stuff like that. It the movie felt like a bunch of different things in one, but they all melded together in such a way that it didn't feel disjointed. Like they kind of tried to Frankenstein a bunch of things together.
And everything very smoothly.
Right,
It
right,
all went
yeah,
very
yeah.
smoothly.
The flow was very good. They made it all feel like, yes, this was a natural progression from point A to point B, and it makes sense that these characters are acting the way they are. I thought the cinematography looked good. I really liked Wakanda. Like, Wakanda is probably my favorite place that we've been to in the MCU, even over, say, Asgard or some of the places that we went to in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it was really nice, and just the architectural design of the city and stuff like that, and how the transportation worked and different things like that. I really was impressed with. Like, it. I wanted to spend more time there, and that's, I will say, one of the drawbacks I feel for the movie is that we don't get to spend enough time in Wakanda. Like, once we've established what Wakanda is, we spend a lot of time in like one or two places throughout the movie, like Shuri, T'Challa's sister, the inventor. We spend a
Right.
lot of time in her little lab area. Like, we go back there a lot throughout the movie, and I just felt like, for what the story was and what they were trying to do, I felt like it kind of felt a little cheap in areas. Like, they could have spent more money on it, because I wanted to see more of Wakanda, but we only kept going back to the throne room, Shuri's lab, and that one street corner that that, like, that's the only thing we see in Wakanda, where they were grilling barbecue and all that shit. Like, that same alley we just kept going back to whenever we were outside when we were in Wakanda. And I was like, I wish we could have saw more of it. But these are minor nitpicky gripes. Like, I don't want to at all seem like, this took me out of the movie or took anything away from it, because it didn't. Yeah, it's really hard to talk about it without doing spoilers. So I want to just hit on a few other things, and then we'll go just right into spoiler territory. What did you feel about how did you feel about Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, Black Panther?
I think he played a good part. I've seen him in a few other small minor roles, and he was kind of hit or miss in some of those, and I really liked it. I think he presented himself well, and he played not just the Black Panther well, but he also played T'Challa well. You know how there's a distinct line usually between the superhero and their alter ego, or whoever they pretend to be when they're not being a superhero. He blended nicely. he presented well as the King, and also he presented well as Black Panther. And I like the fact that they gave the character this moral compass as opposed to kind of a gray area thing. But that's more on the character, not necessarily on Chad Boseman's part of it. But
I love the Chad Boseman. It's like, oh yeah, me and Chad, yeah, we go way back, yeah, Chad, he's a cool guy. I love Chad.
Yeah.
No, I really liked what he did with the character because I've heard some people say that he felt like almost a non-character in his own movie, but I think that's just because it kind of is almost like how The Dark Knight was, where the movie wasn't really about Batman per se, because we spent so much time with Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Dent and the Joker and the mayor and the other people in Gotham that Bruce Wayne, it's not that he gets lost in the shuffle, it's just that the story is bigger than just him. And that's what I kind of felt like with this, was that not that he was a non-character or he wasn't as developed as some of the other characters, because I think that he was. Like, I really liked his character arc. But I just felt that the story was kind of about more than just his rise to becoming, king of Wakanda and, him fully becoming the Black Panther. Because, you got to remember, in Civil War, it's kind of thrust upon him. He wasn't really the Black Panther all like that until his dad had died. He was, the prince and stuff, and he was the, I guess, de facto Black Panther, but he didn't really become the Black Panther until T'Chaka died. And I liked what happened with his character and some of the decisions that he makes and how he kind of subverts, the traditions of what Wakanda kind of represented up until that point. And I thought that was really interesting. I didn't think that he was overshadowed by anybody. I just think that all the other characters, even the supporting characters, had equal importance to him, and they weren't just throwaway characters. Like Denai Guerrera, I think her name is. She plays I'm gonna murder her name. Okoyo, I think is how you say it.
Okay.
His main bodyguard chick in the Dora Milaje. The one that goes with him to the casino and stuff like that. Like, she could have easily had just been a throwaway character, but what they did with her, and especially a little later in the movie, which I can't quite talk about without spoiling, but there's an interaction that she has with Lupita Nyong'o's character, and they're talking about just the kingdom and loyalty and things like that. And I thought that was a really deep scene and a really good scene for her character, and kind of told you a lot about her and why she does the things that she does and have the loyalties that she has. Same thing with Shuri. I think she had a really good character arc, even down to his mother, Angela Bassett's character. Like, everybody had a purpose. I mean, Martin Freeman's character, little Bilbo was running around there doing his thing. My boy, goddamn, Andy Serkis, he did playing Claw. He was goofy as shit. Do not get me wrong. He was just a silly motherfucker through the whole movie, but it wasn't too over the top, and it was kind of needed, because I felt like they were trying to kind of strike this balance of trying to be kind of sort of funny but still serious. And I liked that his character was more outlandish than everybody else, because Michael B. Jordan is not like that. He doesn't come off like I'm the villain, but Ulysses Claw, he had way too much fun in that movie. Like, I really he almost was my favorite character in there, because some of the things that he says and does in that, I was like, wow, this dude is just out there. But I really liked his part. I feel like I'm talking too much. Go.
Oh, I mean, everything you're saying I'm agreeing with. I thought that their casting choices were very, very well thought out. Everybody seemed to work really well together. I know there was concern about some of the female roles. His on-again girlfriend, what was her name?
I can't think of the character's name, just Lupita.
Yeah. There was concern about her playing, like whether she was going to perform well, and I think that everybody worked well together. It just flowed very nicely, and they worked very well together. Everybody nailed their roles. So
Yeah. What do you feel, because a lot of people have been saying this, that Michael B. Jordan is the best villain that Marvel has had so far? Do you think that he is a better villain than Loki?
I don't know if he's a better villain than Loki, but he's certainly a different type of villain than Loki. Where Loki, you see right off the bat what Loki wanted. And
Sure.
that Loki was portrayed, he was meant to portray exactly what the character was after. Whereas P. Jordan, he's kind of that gray area where he could almost not be a villain if there were certain things that were changed about his character.
Okay. That's
So, I mean, without throwing too many spoilers in there, we'll
sure. Right.
look at that. But I thought the way that he portrayed his character was nice. Especially coming off seeing him in Creed, where he was more of this underdog type deal.
Okay. No, I really liked him as Killmonger. I do think that he is the best villain that we've had in MCU, and I will tell you why. No, the reason I say that is because with Loki, granted, yes, he is a bit more of a defined villain. He's not. But you can almost argue that I would argue that Loki is about as conflicted as he is, because Loki's a flip-flopper. You know, one minute he's bad, one minute he's good.
That's true.
He kind of goes back and forth, but he has a tragic backstory, like Killmonger does and all that. But I think that the reason why Killmonger's a better villain than Loki is not even that he has better motivations per se, because to a degree they have similar, motivations for why they do the things that they do. But I think that in this one movie, Killmonger has done more and had more character development and overarching story than Loki, because Loki has the advantage of, we've seen him in 4 movies. He's been in all 3 Thor movies and in the first Avengers, and he's going to be in Infinity War. So by the time we see Loki again, this will be the 5th time we've seen Loki. So Loki's had a chance to, hang around a while and kind of go back and forth and go through all this other stuff. And I think that Killmonger kind of went through all that within one movie and left the same impression on me that I have with Loki. And that's why I think he edges him out, because I like them both for similar reasons, to be honest. And when we go into spoilers, it'll make more sense. But overall, if you had to grade Black Panther, what would you give it?
Out of 100 or on a letter scale?
Should we come up with a rating system for these things?
I'm sure we should.
Maybe. Okay. Okay, so for the time being, sure. Well, let's just say out of 10 to make it a lot easier. 100 is, yeah. You're asking too much math of me.
Oh gosh, out of 10, I would say a 9. And just overall,
Okay.
I'd say a 9.
Okay, that's fair.
I've gotten impressions from those that went with us that they both enjoyed the movie thoroughly, even though you know, one of them not so much into the superhero world. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
But they did, you know, they both left saying that they really enjoyed the movie and it was definitely well worth it. It was come home and share the stories and, you know, it was nice. So, I mean, there's always that.
Right.
But, like I said, I'd say a 9. What do you think? Where would you put it?
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna say a 9.9. I can't exactly. No, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 10, and I'll say why. I will fully acknowledge the flaws of the special effects weren't the greatest. I feel like this movie will not age well with time. When you go back and watch it, it's not gonna look the greatest because of the shoddy special effects, especially towards the end when they have the Panther on Panther fight at the train. You know, it looks, yeah, a little shoddy. But yeah, but I do feel that the storytelling and the acting and just the world building were so good that those minor things that would normally distract me a bit more in other movies, I do feel like I'm a lot more forgiving in this movie. Not just because, oh, it's black folks and I just got to give it the best score ever. Like, you know, I don't know, some people are probably going to think that. But that does play a role in my thought process behind this. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't, but I don't know. I feel like overall I was pleasantly surprised at how different of a Marvel movie that this was. Like, if the Marvel brand was not at the beginning, the logo was not at the beginning of this, I would totally not. This could have been made by anybody because this didn't feel necessarily like a Marvel movie. This stood on its own, even though it had, you know, connections to the other Marvel movies. But I'm gonna stand by what I said. I'm 10.
Well, if somebody didn't know that it was a Marvel movie, there was a particular scene that they would see that and then be like,
sure, right. The stinger, yeah. But I mean, even with that though, you know, it wasn't until the very end where we make like a direct connection to the prior movies. I mean, he does have a flashback to Civil War with his father dying at some point in the movie, but beyond that, you know, they don't make a big deal about, you know, oh, Iron Man and Spider-Man are out there. You know, it's like, yeah, all that shit's cool, but this is, you know, his movie. And I'm not worried about the other shit. And I like that because I was worried that they were going to try and, to a degree, I felt like I really liked Spider-Man Homecoming, but I did kind of feel like to a degree they kind of felt like that movie had a handicap and they had to kind of help it with putting Iron Man in it. Because the last Spider-Man movie wasn't so well received and people had kind of got a bad taste in their mouth about Spider-Man. Even though we had gained back some goodwill when he came to the MCU and when he pops up in Civil War, everybody's like, oh shit, it's Spider-Man. Like, you know, they got a lot of credit, so to speak, from the audience. But at the same time, motherfuckers was kind of like, I don't know, you know, they didn't kind of burn me with these last 2 Spider-Man movies, like, well, last 3, because Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, none of them really were, like, just loved by anybody. But, you know, I felt like they kind of threw Iron Man into Spider-Man Homecoming to go, like, hey, look, Iron Man's in this, and hey, everybody loves Iron Man, right? So, hey, you know, this will make the movie good. And I was worried that when Black Panther came out, they're going to be like, everybody loves Captain America, right? He was in Wakanda, so we're going to throw him in the movie. But they didn't do that. They kept all those other people out of it, and this was Black Panther's movie. And I really liked that about it. But okay, spoilers. Okay, I want to start with the big elephant in the room, the political statements and just political leanings that they kind of address in the movie. There are certain lines and motivations in the movie that I feel are very relevant to the political climate today. and I was really surprised that they went there on some of that shit. Like, say, for example, the stinger at the end where T'Challa goes to the United Nations, and he's talking to the other countries, and he has this line where, a wise man builds bridges when a fool builds barriers, or something like that. And I thought that was like a direct shot at Trump and the wall and all that shit. I was like, wow, like they really went there. I was like, okay. Just the whole mindset of how Wakanda was kind of like this isolationist country, kind of like feudal Japan was, where they kind of kept cut off from the outside world, and they didn't, fuck around with foreigners and shit, and they kept to themselves and did their thing, and it was just like, this is us, and y'all stay out there. And, they addressed, that, because when it's in a comic book and it's not exposed to the general public, you don't think about a lot of these things like that. But then when you make a movie about it and a lot of people start looking at it, they start to kind of pick it apart and go like, okay, well, what kind of message are we sending by saying like it's good for this country to stay, divided from the rest of the world and keep all this technology and all these things that could be helping all these other disadvantaged people away from them for, the argument of protecting their country because they don't want to be exposed to the rest of the world. And they actually addressed that in the movie, and I was really shocked that the whole story is about Wakanda being stingy and not helping people, and that was shocking that they went there.
Yeah. I liked how they kind of diverted away from that, though, at the end.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I definitely like where T'Challa gets to and how he confronts, his father and the other Black Panthers from the past. And I'm sorry.
And T'Challa sees this as his duty,
right.
And I really thought that was neat, especially since we saw in the beginning his father comes in, and poor Eric's left by himself.
Yeah.
The T'Challa's dad was just like, yeah, oh well, let's, we've done our business, now let's go. And then T'Challa stands up at the end, and he's like, no, we can't do that. We can't just stand here and do nothing while there are people that need our help.
Yeah, no, I like that was Killmonger's, main motivation was, and again, like one of the other like political, and racial things that they touch on is, the relationship, the race relationships between white people and Black people, and the race relationships between Black people who were taken to America as slaves and Black people who weren't and remained in Africa. Like, the dichotomy between the two, I was really surprised that they went there because, when Killmonger first shows up in the throne room and he confronts everybody and, exposes that he is of royal blood and he has a right to the throne just as much as T'Challa does and wants to challenge him, he said like something to the effect of like, oh, y'all sitting up in here looking real comfortable and this, that, and the other, and there's people back in Oakland that is getting shot in the streets by police, and drugs is ruining their neighborhoods and this, that, and the other, and it's like, and what are y'all doing? Like, jack shit. Like, y'all got all this money and technology and are doing so good, and you're not sharing this with the rest of your people who got stolen away from Africa and taken away to America. Like, I was really feeling like where they were going with that, and I was shocked that they went. I was like, Disney made this shit. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's another thing. I know that Disney's this big old huge corporation and they're taking on the world, but it was really weird watching a movie, seeing credits with Disney at the end of it, knowing that this was not a Disney, in air quotes, movie, Disney movie, but it wasn't your typical Disney movie. So, I mean, I'm still getting used to seeing Marvel and Disney being in the same.
Yeah, no, because this was really political. It had something to say. Goddamn, like what fucking Killmonger says at the end when he's okay, so T'Challa has stabbed him, and he's taken him up to see the sunset because he's like, his father told him,
Most beautiful thing he's ever seen.
right. And, T'Challa says to Eric Killmonger, he's like, maybe we can save you, maybe you don't have to die. And Killmonger goes, why, so you can lock me up? He said, no, bury me out at sea, like my ancestors, because like them, I know that it's better to die free than to live in bondage or something like that. And I was, God damn, like that shit was deep as fuck. I was like, shit. I was up for hours after we went and seen that movie, and that shit messed me up. I was thinking about that just that one line for a long time. I was like, God damn, like I think what made his villain so compelling was that you understood where he was coming from and what he was trying to do, because he was trying to arm, the other impoverished people of the world who've been, taken advantage of and things like that, and he wanted them to overthrow the people who've held them down. It's like he had good aspirations, he was just going about it in the wrong way.
Right.
And I think that's what made his villain so compelling, because even T'Challa, even finally by the end does exactly what Eric Killmonger was trying to do, was by helping the other people who he felt like Wakanda had kind of turned their back on.
Sure. T'Challa, though, T'Challa wasn't giving them guns and...
No, by no means, no.
Shooting spree. He wanted to improve the neighborhoods and improve the buildings and have, the research centers and places for his people to go. And
yeah,
even though they weren't Wakanda, essentially they got at that point where I think Eric had Killmonger had even said this in the movie. He's like, well, we all come from Africa, right? So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. It was even about not even just, oh, you're not helping black people in America. It was like, if, we all come from Africa, like we're all, from Wakanda, like we're all brothers and sisters, like, so y'all could be doing much more to help the world, let alone, just, the black people who were brought over to the U.S. as slaves. And I really felt what he was saying. Like he had a good point. I will say, like I said, that's fucking CG though at the end, like when they're fighting down there in the vibranium mines.
That could have been better.
Yeah, no, that just looked really cartoony. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, for as much money as this movie is gonna make them, I did feel like they might have kind of skimped out on the budget a little bit. I mean, or maybe just because this is Ryan Coogler's first, big heavy special effects movie. Maybe the director, he's just not used to having a movie with this many special effects in it, and he doesn't have the eye to look for certain things to tell them like, hey, you guys need to take another pass at this needs another render or something, because it just, I don't know, it just, in some of his movements and things like that, like that battle at the end with the rhinos, which was fucking cool as shit, but it looked fake as fuck. It looked really fake, and I'm like, guys, like, what are we doing? Especially because that scene, at least when they're fighting in the vibranium mine, it's dark, but when they're out, in the battle out in broad daylight, the special effects really were kind of glaring at that point. But I did want to talk about what they do with Martin Freeman's character. I've heard some people complain that. I'm sorry. Oh, Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman. He's the CIA guy. He's the white guy, the American that they bring back to Wakanda. He I've heard some people complain that he was kind of like a joke character, and they didn't like the way he was treated throughout this. That they felt, he was kind of being disrespected throughout it, and I didn't feel that way necessarily. There is the one scene where what's his name, M'Baku, the gorilla dude, the leader of that tribe, where he's talking and he was like, "Shut up!" He was like, "You do not speak." He's like, "If you do, I will feed you to my children." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm kidding. We're vegetarians or whatever." Like that. That shit was really funny, but or when he's getting ready to go interrogate Ulysses Claw, and he keeps touching T'Challa, and God, I'm gonna ruin her name again. Okoye. She's like, if he touches you again, I'm gonna impale him on this desk and shit. I mean, they do kind of fuck with him a lot, and even when they bring him to Wakanda, Shuri's like, "Oh, you brought me another busted ass white boy to fix," and all this is just so. Like, I mean, he was just a comedic character to a degree. Like, he's not Nick Fury, he's not an Avenger or nothing like that. So, I mean, he's kind of the fish out of water, avatar for the audience, for us to experience all this stuff through his character. So I get him kind of being the butt of the jokes, but I didn't think they did anything degrading with him. I think they gave him something good to do at the end, where he's helping destroy the ships that are trying to take the vibranium weapons. Wakanda.
And he stepped up. They gave him enough credit to step up and take out those ships. And I thought the character was good. I didn't think anything wrong of it.
No, neither did I. Honestly, if anything, in fact, I like that he was gonna almost sacrifice himself and die trying to stop those weapons from getting out into the rest of the world. Like, I really, thought that was cool. So, yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, people are going to find just some dumb shit to try and get outraged about, but it's whatever. I did like... Oh, okay, no, I'm sorry. What I didn't like, though, was kind of how they handled, becoming king. Because for as advanced as Wakanda is with their technology and their medicine and stuff like that, they kind of have a primitive hierarchy structure to how the country works. Because it's like, well, as long as you are of royal blood to one of these tribes, and if you can just kill whoever's in charge, and you can just run the fucking country. And I was like, there's no voting to this shit? Like, I don't know. This seems very barbaric. I get it's supposed to be some, like, Game of Thrones type shit, but at the same time, you don't think it would have been a good idea to go, like, hey, yes, Eric Killmonger is, the cousin to T'Challa, and, he is of royal blood, but he's fucking crazy. Like, we can't just give him the throne just because he beat up and threw T'Challa off a fucking cliff. Like, what the fuck is this? And we're just totally going to be loyal to that? But all right. But but I did like that setup for...
It's kind of a tradition thing, though, where...
Sure, I guess. But, I mean, could you imagine if, like, Britain still has kings and queens and shit? Could you imagine if you could just go fucking beat the shit out of Prince Harry, you could run Britain now? Like, that'd be fucking crazy. Well, I mean, you'd have to have some kind of royal blood, too, I guess, as well. Like, you'd have to be somebody from Parliament. But still, could you imagine if Donald Trump had to fight, fucking Hillary Clinton to the death to be president? That would have been cool as shit. That would have been the best debate ever. That's how the Purge starts, doing shit like that. But no, I mean, and again, these are nitpicky things. Like I said, I love the movie. I love the message of the movie. I love some of the inventive things they do with the fight scenes. Like, it was nothing that it was like, oh my god, we've never seen anything like this before. It wasn't like the Matrix bullet slow-mo shit by no means, but some of the things that they do, like Denai Guerrera's character, when she's on top of the car and she has the spear and she throws it through the other car windshield, and it hits the ground. It kind of acts as like a spike to stop them from going, and it flips that car. All that was cool. When Andy Serkis blows up their car, and she's like sliding on the hood of the car and stops it with the spear. That was really cool. The little gag where Lupita Nyong'o's still in the driver's seat as it's sliding down the street, like that was funny. So I mean, there were some really inventive things they did, but at the same time, some of it just kind of felt like, you know, generic action movie shit. I don't know. For all the creative stuff that they did at the beginning, I just felt that the end could have been a little bit better. But my complaints about that are kind of outweighed by my appreciation for the fact that there was no blue light in the sky. You know, there was no portals or no shit, no ticking bombs that they had to stop. You know, it was none of the tropes that we normally see in movies. So I can appreciate that.
I liked the fact that they, you know, in Thor, they had the portal from one world to the next.
Oh, in the Dark World? Yeah, the second Thor? Yeah.
I like that they actually had a ship similar to what, you know, the X-Men had, like a jet, modified jet or whatever, that could take them from one country to the next.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it reminded me kind of like of X-Men a little bit, like the X-Jet, you know, where they kind of hop in that and go from place to place.
That was my feel to it, too.
Yeah.
Is I kind of felt like that when I first saw it.
One thing I will say that I don't like, because, I mean, I don't know how much you know about Black Panther, you know, as the comic book character goes, but, I don't like that they changed. They kind of CW'd Black Panther, and I don't like that, because in all the CW shows like Arrow and The Flash and, you know, everything else, it's like you have your hero, but then you have like his support staff. You know, in Spider-Man Homecoming, they even do the same thing where his best friend makes the joke of, "Oh, I want to be your guy behind the computer or behind the monitor or whatever." Like you're a guy that you talk through the headset, and he looks up schematics of buildings and tells you the best way to get in there. Or, you know, he's like, "Oh, you get this new tech," and stuff like that. They kind of took away from Black Panther a little bit, because in the comics, he is just as intelligent or even more intelligent and technologically inclined as, say, Tony Stark or Peter Parker or Reed Richards. Like, he's in the upper echelon of, you know, the smart characters in the MCU. And I kind of felt like they kind of dumbed him down a little bit, and they kind of took elements of his character and gave it to other characters.
Right.
You know, and I guess that's good to a degree as well, because you don't want to have like the Superman effect where he's so, you know, his suit's vibranium, he has all this money, he's a really good fighter, he has superpowers, you know, and if he's the smartest person, then it's like, okay, well, it's hard to make a threat for him now because he's too OP, he's too overpowered now. So maybe I guess it's not such a terrible thing that he's not like a super genius as well. I mean, T'Challa's smart, but he never comes off as like, you know, oh, I can make all this tech and shit for the suit and, you know, this, that, and the other.
Right, that's kind of what they gave his sisters. You know, they kind of gave it to his sister.
Yeah, that was kind of her department. Which in the comics, Shuri, she actually becomes the Black Panther, because T'Challa actually gives up the mantle for a while, and she becomes Black Panther. And I'm really excited that this Disney Fox thing is going down, because if we can get the X-Men into the MCU, it's going to be perfect. Because in the comics, T'Challa and Storm are married. They get married, and they're a couple, and I'm like, that would be dope. Like, to have a Black Panther Storm movie, that shit would be dope.
I'm excited for that, so let's hope for that.
Yeah, because, oh man, God, I can't wait. But yeah, no, I really like the way it ended. I didn't really care for the music at the very beginning. I was worried. Okay, so I brought some of my own baggage into the movie coming into it. I was kind of worried that it was going to be too much hip hop and not have like a traditional movie score as well. Like, they were just going to play a bunch of songs off of the Kendrick Lamar album, which is good. I've listened to a bunch of songs from it now. But you know, that it was just going to be just a bunch of rap songs and not feel like a movie soundtrack. But it was a bit of both. You know, it struck a good balance. And in the beginning, I was worried that the kind of African sounding inspired music was going to kind of bug me, because it was a lot of and drums and shit. And I was like, man, is this shit going to play through the whole movie? But they incorporated it in such a way and composed it in such a way to where it had that still tribal feel to it, but still felt like a modern movie score and soundtrack for an action superhero movie. So I think that they blended, you know, those elements together well. So shout out to Kendrick Lamar and shout out to whoever the composer of the soundtrack was. But
Oh, fuck. Okay.
You really?
It was kind of funny. The night after we went to see it, we went to Walmart and it was there, and I'm like, oh, hey, Black Panther soundtrack. And I almost bought it.
Wow, that's awesome.
I still might go back and get it.
Oh yeah, no, you should. I need to. I just heard a few of the songs on like YouTube and shit, but I should. But no, yeah, other than that, yeah, no, is there anything else? Anything else you want to talk about from spoilers?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered them all.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk about the box office for Black Panther. This movie, as of this is Sunday that we're recording this. I believe it's at 192 million for its opening weekend from Thursday to Sunday, and this isn't counting, you know, the fact that it's going to have the 4-day weekend because of, you know, Monday being President's Day. They're kind of lumping that in, so it gets that 4-day holiday weekend as well. But yeah, no, it's so far, I mean, just to give some, and I saw this, it was a tweet from John Campia. He's a guy who does like reviews and stuff, and he says some kind of controversial shit as far as like his opinions on these movies go sometimes, but he said that to give some context, Black Panther has made more money domestically here in the US in its 3 days that it's been out than Justice League made domestically in the US during its entire 13-week run in theaters. And a lot of people were kind of like, damn, like, do we have to keep beating that dead horse? Like, yes, Justice League was underperformed, and it wasn't a bomb, but it definitely didn't make nowhere near as much money as Warner Brothers spent on it, between how much the movie initially cost, plus going back and doing all those reshoots with Joss Whedon and shit. Like, they pretty much made that movie twice. And so they spent a lot of fucking money on Justice League. And especially, too, for that to be the first time we ever see... This was supposed to be their Avengers. Like, could you imagine if the Avengers came out and it made as little amount of money as fucking Justice League did? Like, this was what you've been building to. But then again, you know, you can't put out 2 movies and then be like, Avengers, here we come. Like, no, it don't work like that. You gotta earn that shit.
Right. I don't think... You know, Wonder Woman was great. I loved it.
Mm.
Suicide Squad, where we saw the brief interaction with Batman, and then the Batman versus Superman. I just don't think that they did as well as, you know, Captain America or Iron Man or...
No. Thor.
You know me, I'm Batman to the core, but...
Yeah.
It just... I'm gonna need Warner Brothers to step it up. They're failing in the... I don't want to say failing, because...
No, you can say that. It's fine. You can say it.
I enjoyed Batman versus Superman. I enjoyed Suicide Squad. I really liked Wonder Woman, but it's... Unfortunately, they're losing in the superhero department.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But anyway, to the box office.
Yeah, no. I was just using that just as a comparison to just give some context to just show just how much, you know, money this movie is making. I believe like the breakdown of like the audience demographics is it's like 29% African American, about 23% Caucasian, and then you have like Latino and then Asian breakdowns from there. So obviously a lot of black people were gonna come out to see this movie, but I'm glad to see that that's not the entire, because in order for this movie to be successful in the long run and not have a huge drop off after this first weekend, it has to be accessible to everybody. And I think that it is. I think that there are people who have certain biases and predispositions, to this movie or just to the African American community in general, are gonna probably have apprehensions about seeing this movie and won't go. But I think that there's so much positive word of mouth behind it and so much hype for this movie in general that, I mean, motherfuckers are gonna go see this no matter what at this point. But it's a Marvel movie, so yeah, it's gonna make money. But I think because a movement has kind of started behind this, I mean, there's people buying out fucking theaters, so kids in like impoverished areas can go see this movie. There's I'm pretty sure Kendrick Lamar, his studio, bought out a bunch of movie theaters, so like school kids can go see Black Panther, because this really means something to a lot of people. I mean, it meant something to me, and I am really getting sick of like hearing like detractors go, oh well, it's just a movie, like this isn't gonna stop gang violence. This isn't going to stop police from shooting, unarmed black people. This isn't going to, bring money into the hood or nothing like that. And I'm like, no, but it doesn't need to. The movie isn't going to, it was never meant to fix any of the African American community's problems. The movie is meant to be a good movie and be a story and a hero that African American kids can look up to. Like, that's seen at the very end. The whole point of that kid talking to Black Panther and asking him, who are you, and stuff like that, it's a metaphor to show like this is the whole movie in a nutshell. This is what the point of this was to inspire these young kids.
Sure.
And so, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Even being on the flip side of that,
as a white woman, yes.
Our viewers might not know this, but as a woman, I see it. I see, not necessarily living in the hood and, getting your parents shot up at, but I get being poor and I get looking for somebody to look up to. If I were a child, even if I was a little boy or a little girl, whatever the case was, if I was a child and I saw this movie, it would kind of give me hope, and I don't know, it gives me something better to look at than Kim Kardashian,
Right. There's a lot of strong women in this movie. Like, I feel like this movie is not only a good representation and a good role model for young black boys to look up to, but young women of color and not of color, just women in general. Like, I was shocked at how many, not only how prominent the women were in the movie, but how many prominent female characters were in the movie.
Right.
Like, the women kind of outnumber the men. I mean, if you think about it, between T'Challa's mother, his sister, his ex-girlfriend, his main bodyguard, like, there's like 4 or 5 main chicks throughout this that kind of carry this movie.
And not to mention, he had an entire armory of women protecting him.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm just going to say this, it was nice to see women warriors wearing something more than a scantily clad bikini with some metal thrown on it.
Yeah.
They were a little, show off a little bit, but
they weren't. It wasn't in a way to where they felt like they were objectifying the women.
Sexualized and objectified.
Yes.
I really liked that. That was nice.
Yeah. They didn't even make a point to even focus on the fact that they were women at all. Like, it's never brought up like, oh, you have women bodyguards or anything like that. It was just like, these bitches will beat the shit out of your ass if you fuck with, you fuck around, and it was just, that's what it was.
At one scene where the Killmonger has risen the army, and they're fighting against these bodyguards. They're holding their own against men.
Oh yeah.
With and swords and shields and giant rhinos.
Yeah.
They're holding their own, They're not, getting killed off because of the women. They're not getting, beat down because they're just women and they're not strong enough or whatever. They're holding their own, and I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah. Me too.
If I were to take my children to see that, I would want them to see, hey, they can be just as good as the guys.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I feel like in a way this was a better representation for women than Wonder Woman was.
Right.
Even, with the Amazonians and everything, especially in Justice League, because in Justice League, the Amazonians, they really like over-sexualized them in that, as opposed to how they were represented in Wonder Woman. And I mean, I don't know if it was because, a woman directed Wonder Woman and, made it a point to not try to over-sexualize them. But anyway, the point of saying all that is just saying that this movie is hitting all four quadrants, men, women, all the different races, different ages, like, anybody can go see this. And this is people are gonna crucify me for saying this, but it's almost like when Obama got elected, where, kids and people are going to see this and go, hey, I can be anything now. Like, I said this in the theater after the movie, and I stand by it. Like,
right.
This is good because they don't have to say now, oh, I'm the Black Batman, or I'm the Black Iron Man, or the Black Hulk, or anything like that. Like, I can be Black Panther, and you know who I'm talking about. I don't have to be a made-up, version of a hero. I can be this character. And between characters like him and Luke Cage and Miles Morales and stuff like that, like, we're slowly but surely starting to get more people of color exposed to general audiences and getting people used to seeing these people in, prominent roles and not just sidekicks and shit. I mean, shout out to Falcon and War Machine, they do their thing, but they are basically Tony and Steve's sidekicks, pretty much. They're the Robins to their Batmans, but it's good to see, somebody, Black Panther is his own Batman. He don't have to be sidekick to anybody. But because of that, I feel that this movie is going to make a lot of money. I don't know how it's going to do overseas. But as far as in the U.S. is probably going to be the bulk of where its money is going to come from. And if this movie hits $1 billion, it won't surprise me. I'm not saying it will, but it is in the upper echelon of the category that these types of movies are sitting in, and it could very well hit $1 billion. Like, it would not surprise me at all.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. Especially not since it's done so well in just its opening weekend.
Yeah.
There's no telling how long it's going to sit at the theater.
Yeah, because and as well too, there's no real competition for it. In at least within the next few weeks that I can think of that's coming out. I mean, something that came out called Early Man. It's some like Pixar type movie about cavemen or some shit. And I mean, that movie bombed, so nobody was going to see that. I'm pretty sure everybody that was leaving that theater and everybody that was in that theater when we saw it was going to go see Black Panther.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I can't imagine anything else knocking it down for a while. It's going to have a good window of time to be number one, no matter what. So as long as it keeps performing well and repeat viewings, because I've already seen people on Facebook and Twitter talking about, oh, this is my second time, third time seeing it. Like, oh, I'm taking my family. I took my friends. Like, people from church is coming with me. Like, it's crazy.
I'd see it again.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I told my girlfriend, like, we're gonna go see it at some point. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna see it during this holiday weekend, but definitely within the next week or so, we're gonna see it. So I'll see it twice for sure. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's gonna make all the money, all the money.
There you go.
Okay, so we're done with the main shit. We're gonna go into light speed, and we're still gonna talk about Black Panther, but a different aspect of it. Um, as you know, there's been this kind of campaign, so to speak, to boycott Black Panther. There's a segment of people who, for whatever fucking bullshit ass reasons they got, just don't want to see this movie be successful. And they have made it their life's mission to try and, either give it bad ratings or get people not to go see it. There's been a lot of shit on Twitter and Facebook lately of people taking stock photos from movies or just Google searches of people who've been injured and bleeding and stuff, and then making, captions saying, oh, me and my friend got beat up by some black guys at the screening for Black Panther, or some black girls jumped on my girlfriend and said that we weren't allowed to come see the movie. You came to the wrong theater. Just all kind of just fucking bullshit to just try and stir up controversy and make people believe that there's some kind of racial tension at these screenings. And I mean, you can speak to this. I mean, there was never any point where you felt uncomfortable being at that theater, and there wasn't like, oh, there was only one white person. I did make a joke that you guys are one of the few white people that were there in the lobby when I came in, but when you actually went into the theater, there was a good chunk. It was about a 50-50 split of black people to white people in the theater. It wasn't just like, oh, it's two white guys in the back and just, like 900 black folks in the front. Like, no, it wasn't like that at all.
And you're right. I mean, like I said, I'm a white woman. I didn't feel any animosity. I looked around. There was people of all kind of race and colors all around us. The four of us sat together. And maybe it was because I was in a row with three guys that are pretty, beefy, but even if I'd have went and seen it myself, I still would have, I'd have been fine,
Yeah. No, there was a couple, they seemed like they were probably Indian, that were sitting right to the right of me. There was, about 4 or 5 white people sitting in front of me. There was a bunch of black folks, like, there was a good mix of people in there. I seen a few Latino couples in there. So, all this shit that people have been spewing about, it's dangerous. There's just angry black folks. They're just full of shit, and they get off on trying to stir up bullshit. And then there's the Facebook groups, which I have infiltrated one of them. It's called Christians Against Black Panther, Boycott This Movie Now, or something like that, where I'm pretty sure that the admin is just kind of fucking around and trolling. I don't think that this is a legit group. There was a group that was called something similar to this that Facebook shut down, and this new group has popped up, and I think that the admin is trolling because his name is Wade Wilson, which, if you don't know, that's the alter ego of Deadpool. His name is Wade Wilson, and it just, I don't know, some of the things that he posts, it seems like he's just kind of fucking with people, and he's not really trying to boycott the movie. It's almost like he's perioding the people who would be against this kind of shit almost. Yeah, and then I've seen like petitions on change.org, like, oh, boycott this movie or give it bad Rotten Tomato scores because Disney doesn't treat its fans well because people were mad about The Last Jedi. And then, there's other people who are like, oh, well, Disney pays critics to say that DC movies are bad, even though DC movies just aren't all that great right now. I mean, like, it ain't got nothing to do with somebody getting paid off. Like, nigga, nobody needs to pay these motherfuckers off. Like, they just ain't good movies. Just get over it. but yeah, just all kind of just weird, silly shit like that, where I go, if you just want to be a bigot and you don't want to support the movie because you're mad because it's a black movie and people are excited about it, then just go fuck yourself. Like don't try to ruin that shit for everybody else.
Actually, the movie's kind of the opposite. It's a very empowering movie for everybody, and as it should be. We're in 2018. This shouldn't be oh my god, it's a black white thing. Yeah.
It shouldn't be, but unfortunately.
I didn't say it wasn't. I just said it shouldn't be. Come on now, get over it.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna get off that. I don't think that they're gonna succeed in their efforts because there's too much positive word of mouth behind this movie and there's too much hype behind it. So I mean, I don't think they're gonna put any real dent in the sales or people's desire to want to go see this movie. But all right, moving on. I wanted to talk about the real quick, I did get a message from someone who said that we didn't bring up the Deadpool 2 trailer when we did the last episode where we talked about the trailers from the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And it totally slipped my mind. There were so many damn trailers that came out that week that I tried to cover everything, but I totally forgot about that one. I really liked it. It looks really funny. It looks like, it's going to be a good movie. I'm excited for it. I don't really know what else to say. I like the way Cable looks. Josh Brolin, I'm excited to see him play the character. I like all of the little Easter eggs that they sprinkled in it. They even make a reference to Josh Brolin playing Thanos. So I liked all that stuff.
I mean, not much else to say. I like the first Deadpool, and they did a lot with a little budget, so hopefully we keep that up and pull a lot with this next one. I know several people I've talked to are pretty excited about it. My brother, he's probably the biggest, Deadpool is his Batman.
Nice. That was a good choice.
So...
So Deadpool looks cool. The trailer for season 2 of Jessica Jones came out, and it has no views on Netflix's official YouTube page. And I think it's kind of getting lost in all the Black Panther hype, and I kind of feel bad for it because, no one's going to be talking about anything but Black Panther for the next few weeks. So, yeah. But that came out. It looks good. I'm interested to see where it's going. I was kind of feeling the lack of Kilgrave in this one, the villain from the first season. But then you get that kind of Easter egg of him at the very end clapping, so they're gonna find a way to bring him back into this. Melissa, though, you've not seen either. You've not seen the first season of Jessica Jones, right?
No, I never even heard of it. And then I watched the trailer for season 1 and then the trailer for season 2. It looks like something I'm probably going to check out in the next couple weeks.
It's
in between work and getting everything situated. I'll probably binge watch a couple episodes till I get caught up and then go from there.
Yeah, no, the good thing about those Netflix shows is that they're only 10, 12 episodes, so they're not really long shows, so it's not like you got, fucking a month worth of shit that you gotta trudge through to get caught up, so they're not very long. But no, Jessica Jones is a good show. I think you'll like it, but one of the things that I want to talk about, more so than just the story and the trailer itself, is kind of what happens during the trailer. There's a scene where there's a character talking to Jessica Jones, and it seems like he wants to take over Alias Investigations, her private investigation firm. And he says that, he doesn't take no for an answer. And Jessica says to him, "Oh, how rapey of you." And I get it that they're trying to be timely with the whole Me Too movement and everything like that, but I just felt like that was just a line too far. Like, I get Jessica Jones is a damaged character, and she's had a lot of fucked up shit happen to her, and she kind of lashes out at the world in general. But there's I don't know. There's just her attitude is just all fucked up. The way that she comes across to that character, it almost turns you off to her to the point where it's like, well, I want to root for you, but you can't become like these crazy raging feminists where it's like, oh, men are all pigs and cut all their dicks off and all that shit. It's like, I get it. Hey, look, I'm all about, hey, I like Wonder Woman. I'm excited for Captain Marvel. I'm all about putting women on equal footing with men in these types of roles and, giving them a platform to show like, hey, we can play with the boys too. I'm all about, we just talked about the Dora Milaje and how we like them so much in Black Panther. So don't get what I'm trying to say twisted. I just feel like it's really a fine line you got to walk between making these characters feel like independent women who, don't need someone to be their white knight, and making them unrelatable characters that you just don't like because they're kind of bitches. As a woman, how do you feel? I know you're making a face at me.
I mean, I saw the trailer and I don't know. I laughed at the line that you're talking about.
Oh, the rapey line? Okay, all right.
I kind of chuckled at it. I was just like, wow, okay. And kept going with it. I mean, we're at a point where middle ground is disappearing on a lot of subjects.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Probably not. Probably not good. Probably not.
I would think that middle ground would probably be a best bet on most things. Don't get me wrong. I support the Me Too's. I get it. I get women standing up, and I'm all about women empowerment. But there's also a line where you just look at it and you're like, okay, well that's that, and we're gonna leave it there because there's, I don't know.
But yeah, no. I get what you're saying. No, I get it. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm excited for it. I mean, I really like Jessica Jones. I really liked her when she was in The Defenders as well. I don't think that they portrayed her character quite as well in that show as they did in her own show. So I'm glad that she's getting a second season, so I can get to see her in her own element, so to speak, once again. Yeah, no. I just, like I said, I just hope that they don't make her come across in such a way to where they kind of have a backlash against this whole, women movement and, start to let those voices of people who are just not going to be happy if they ever see a woman in any kind of position of authority, give them more of a voice. So, as long as we can, like you said, try and stay on that ever disappearing middle ground, I think we'll be okay. But, yeah, so there's that. Yeah, there's somebody I'm just waiting for. Somebody's gonna be like, you misogynistic motherfucker, you can't, you just don't want to see women in power. Oh, I'm just waiting for it. It's coming.
I'm sure that I'm gonna get my share of, wow, really? You're a woman and you don't see this as X, Y, and Z.
You co-signing this bullshit?
Right.
Oh well, fuck it. It's the internet. Anyway. So the last thing that I wanted to hit on was it's come out that this is another controversial topic that somebody's probably gonna call my shit on, but fucking I thought this from the beginning, and people were I think a lot of people kind of felt this way, but they maybe were a little bit too afraid to say something about it. But it's come out that apparently Zack Snyder was fired from the Justice League, and it wasn't so much about his daughter committing suicide and them replacing him so he could mourn, but more so the executives had seen early cuts of the movie, didn't like the way the story was going, and said, you know what, fuck it, we're putting an axe on this shit. We're done. So I called this from the get-go. I said that I don't believe that this is the... I think that this played a part in him leaving the movie, but I don't think that this is the sole reason. Because his daughter, you know, and I don't want to sound insensitive to someone dying because, you know, someone lost their life, like somebody committed suicide. It's a serious thing. But at the same time, she unfortunately took her own life, I believe, a month or two before he actually left the film. And I know people grieve differently and handle things differently, but it just felt weird to me that you would stay on a movie that is of this scale, that had this many moving parts, and was going to take up so much of your time that you would continue trying to do it even after your daughter committed suicide. I would think that they would immediately put the movie on hiatus and let him mourn and bury his daughter and go from there. As opposed to them saying, well, we're going to let him leave to do his thing with his family, and we're going to just bring in somebody else and finish the movie. Like, it was odd to me that they just didn't put it on hiatus from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of strikes me as odd.
I mean, I don't know. Like, do you think that it was just kind of like damage control? Because my theory was they're doing this because they need to save face. They don't want to make it seem like Zack Snyder's a bad director, and they don't want to make it seem like they made a bad decision putting him on this movie. So this was their way of kind of having their cake and eating it too. They can get rid of him, but they can spin it in such a way to where it's like, oh no, it's not because the movie's not good. It's just because some fucked up shit happened in his life and he has to go now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we never really know for sure how things play out. You know, the internet speculates and things brought up and things get way blown out of proportion. You never know.
I feel like you're calling me like the Alex Jones of this shit right now. So you got your crazy internet people and their theories.
No, I mean, either which way, Joss Whedon finished it up, so...
Yeah. I mean, and it's shitty, but, you know, I hope that in the end, you know, no matter what the reasoning was for him leaving the movie, I mean, it still turned out bad regardless. So regardless if Warner Brothers fired him or if, you know, he really did leave because, you know, of his daughter's suicide and he needed time to mourn, either way it goes, the movie wasn't on track to turn out good no matter what had transpired behind the scenes. So that's kind of whatever. Neither here nor there, I guess.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then I hope that he got to at least mourn his family, or mourn with his family, I should say. Yeah.
But no, that's all the controversial topics I have. I'm excited to see the hate mail that I get and the angry tweets from this later.
Well, and positive. I'm excited for the positive that we see.
Yeah, no. But yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it for this episode. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, follow. We are on all the social media thingies, like Facebook, on Twitter. Just look for @GiantLeap, the number 4 Geeks. And if you have any other places you would like to listen to this podcast on, we're on Google Play Music, SoundCloud, Libsyn, iTunes, Spotify soon. So we're getting there. So yeah, This is Mike C Squared and Melissa. We gotta get you a cool ass, like, I don't know, like Mel B or some shit. I don't know. We'll figure out something.
A rating system and a cool name by next time. We got this.
Okay. Got it. It's gonna be a fine-tuned, polished machine. You guys just wait. But yeah, no, we're gonna sign out. So see you guys next time.
Bye.